If somebody writes a will, and in that will they distributed the wealth unfairly, meaning not in accordance with Islam, after their death, are the children or their family members obliged to carry out that will like that? Who can answer the question? Yes or no? If that person who's left a will distributed the wealth unfairly, not in accordance with the Qur'an, do the children and the family have to abide by that will? Of course, if it's a legal binding will by the government, you got no choice. But let's say you can change it, or it's not legally binding. Islamically, must you follow that will if it is unfair? Yes or no? No. No. You change it. That would be better for the deceased, so that they are not punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if they deliberately did that. But if they didn't know, you make dua for them to forgive, for Allah to forgive them. And for the rights of the people, the heirs, so that you are not unjust. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden obeying or following any creature on earth if it means opposing the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now when we go into legal aspects, the government, that's a separate case. If it goes to court, khalas, settle with it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has your share on the Day of Judgment. There are a lot of families who will not hesitate to use the law, the government law, to take unjust rights and make up stories. But who is the one who is watching, recording and seeing? Which is the greatest court? The greatest court is the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will not wrong a single person with an atom's worth of any judgment.
They live in the house?
So they've got a house, the whole family lives in there.
Yeah.
They can't sell the house because everybody's living in there, they need a house. And then what happens? And then let's say the father, who is the breadwinner and has saved up money and the house is in his name, say, and he wants to give money to his daughter, he wants to give some fi sabilillah charity, can he do that?
But he can't because he can't sell the house.
But he can't because he can't sell the house because he lives in it. It's true, then he shouldn't sell the house. But he is allowed to give a share of that house to his daughter if he wants to while he's alive. So he writes it, he says it, it's done. He can't say, give my daughter her share after I die. That's not allowed. Whatever has to be given now in your lifetime, and done and dusted, finished. Not after death.
How do you do that? How do you give them, say, half the house?
You can write legal documents. Because the house is legal, they have to put their name on the house. They have to make it legal, or they can get legal documents to say it is now hers. So that's the issue, which means that she can now do whatever she wants with it. If she has ownership and legally she can now sell her share or keep her share, that means it's done. But if he says, no, it's going to be hers, but nothing has been passed to her, she has no freedom to do what she wants yet until the father dies, that's haram. Why? Because the condition is that it's now yours. It has to be your ownership. If it's just word of mouth, well, he can say, the house is hers, and I've given it to her, word of mouth, and everybody is witness to that, and then that's it. Then it is her share. It is her share. That's done and dusted, everybody's agreed. But the problem now is that legally there are no paperwork. So people can now turn around and say, well, there's no paperwork, right? So there's two ways, I repeat. That he should do it legally, or should put it in her name, or make a legal paperwork that it's hers to ensure her right. Or number three, if he trusts his family, he makes an announcement, everybody witnesses that this is now her share. In the Qur'an, in Surah Al-Baqarah, we call it Ayatul Dain, the verse of money and debts. Allah commands us to write debts and transactions with two witnesses, so they should write it and get two witnesses at least. But all of that has to be done when? Done and dusted during his lifetime. It's over. He has no more access to it, or he has no more any access or freedom to do what he wants with it. All permission has to be from the daughter. Everybody knows it's the daughter's. Good, done? Good. If someone's will was not written according to the Islamic inheritance rule, I think we answered that one. For example, a daughter ends up getting the same as her brother when she shouldn't. What should she do? She should return her extra share back into the pool, and then it's redistributed fairly. Let's say, for example, there is one daughter and two brothers, and she took the same share as her brothers. She has to give up half of that share, put it back in the pool, and it's distributed between her brothers. That's the answer to that question. Then again, why? So that we don't think it's unfair. Because her brothers are obliged to spend on their families and even on their sister, but she is not obliged to use it for anyone. Another question from the sisters: does the will override the laws, or do the laws override the will after the person has passed? Of course, to us, the Islamic law overrides any man-made law. That's a given. We all know that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala overrides all other laws. Definitely. However, if the laws of the land have the authority and someone puts a complaint to the court and the court issues that court order, then you have no other option but to follow that court order. Because then you're going to be harmed, you're going to be fined, you're going to be, probably get criminal charges and so on. But in that case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold another court on the Day of Judgment for the people who took the rights of others through a court system which was against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's laws. So in answer to your questions, do the laws override Islamic laws, or Islamic laws override the country's laws? No. Islamic laws come in precedent. But you can't do anything about it because that's the authority. You have to follow it, because then you'll be harmed and you're breaking the Australian law. However, if you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who took more share, whether legally or in any other way, they have to fear Allah and give up the share which they took unfairly and give it back to those who have the right. You can even go back to the court system in the country if it means getting your right. The right that you get is the Islamic right. All right? If it works. So I hope we've answered that question. That's a very good question. Say in a family, the father passed away, the mother stayed alive, and she has children, boys and girls. The normal thing to do is that the mother gets 1/6 of the husband's property, and then the daughters and sons get the ratio 2:1. That's what should happen. Now let's say that the children are looking at their mother and are saying, look, if we're going to distribute the shares, it means that we're going to sell the house. And the mother lives in the house, and this is our home. Then no. It becomes, if your mother has no other place to live, then you've got two options. Either, if you're going to sell the house and everybody takes their share, that's fine, but you have to provide shelter for your mother in a way where she has her privacy and her comfort. If it means buying her a smaller house, you have to buy her a smaller house. If it means she agrees to sleep in her children's house, then it's done. The point is, their mother takes precedence over distributing the shares. Meaning if she's going to be homeless, no, it's haram to sell the house and take your shares. Haram. Probably even a major sin, because you're putting your mother out in the street. That's number one. That's number one, Jamal. I'm following up. That's the first option. The second option, which is the better one, all the siblings agree that the house remains there, their mother lives in it, it's still the family house, but on paper, they distribute the shares, the equities, so that everybody knows that eventually, whatever happens, And maybe the mother might die before them, maybe they might die, whatever happens, everybody knows their share in that house. So when the time comes and mother's no longer around, there's no one to be harmed, they sell the house and each one takes their share. If they don't take their share and someone dies and then their children come up, then they also take the share. But from which? From the share that their parents had. Example, if my father, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him and bless him and all your fathers, passed away before my mother. My mother has, her own house. And she has nowhere else to go. She doesn't want to live with her, say for example, her children. She wants her own house and she has nowhere else to go. We say, okay, listen everyone, all my siblings, this is your mother's share, she gets a sixth. Our share in the house, say it's a $1 million house, the boys and the girls distribute, each one have their share. You have this much, you have this much, you have this much. Good. Then, say my mother passes away before us. Then we can sell the house and each one get their share. Say I passed away before my mother. Then my children, the share of the house that's mine, only my share, that gets distributed or written for them, and so on. So we always find a way to keep the mother in her home. I hope that answers the question. Wa iyyakum. Jazakumullahu khair, brothers and sisters. This is a fiqhi matter that will go on, but I hope inshaAllah we learnt a bit today. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.